Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's episode, we are going to tackle the ROKR Steam Engine wooden model. So I saw this, I thought it looked pretty cool. Kind of like that it's kind of partially stained, and I'll probably work on staining the other parts that aren't, colored in. I'm not for sure how I'm going to do that yet, but we'll see. And I think it's got some motion and has some light sources to it. So we'll see once we get into it. But as always, kind of take you through all the boards. Somebody's sleeping, so she's not going to bother us right now. So it actually doesn't contain too many parts from previous models. But, but looks can be deceiving. Once you kind of get into it, but I mean, definitely not a lot going on, and the box actually has a lot of screws and bands and rods and all kinds of stuff in here. So not for sure what that's going to be used for. And then of course our instruction guide. It's the normal rocker instructions, and it actually comes with some little cotton for the smoke. So we'll see if we use that or not for sure. But as always, please like, share, subscribe, leave comments, hit that notification bell, and I'll get back to you. So with that, we'll get started. Okay, then you're gonna get your A6, and then you're gonna put this down in here. Pop this up. Okay, and then you're gonna get your cord, your lights right here. This is part number 2 out of your P1 that's out of bag number 2 that has the little connector on the end of it, and you can see it has like little light bulbs around it. And then what you want to do is get the actual white and red cord, and it says to wrap it around the A6, around the bottom part, because there should be like a little gap or something there to kind of hold it, and then push this in the square hole down here, and maybe just you do that just to make sure that it doesn't come loose. Right now, that's all you need to do is just have it kind of like that. So we'll see what happens later on when we actually put some other stuff together. Okay, so now we're going to get our C5B, which is this right here, and then we're going to get our part P2 from bag number 2, which is kind of looks like a motor with another little connector on the end of it. And then we're going to put this through. Put the cord through and align this through the hole. It'll only go one way just because of the opening. Okay. Then you're going to grab your A8 and then slide this 8 and pop that into there. Then get your A7 and put it on the other side. There we go. And get your C5A right here. Make sure the little edge is on the front, and then put that on top and push that down. And pretty much what you're doing is all these 3 pieces is holding your generator or light switch in place, making sure it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to grab your A14, which is this right here. And this is definitely a bendable piece, so you have to be careful with it. And you want to make sure that you grab your wire to have it go through this piece here, and it looks like your 2 tabs will go into the hole here. Make sure that your printed side is on the outside. And the wood pieces are definitely thin, so you definitely want to make sure to not press too hard when you're pushing stuff in. There we go. Just be careful with it. And then you want to pull this around and make sure that the tab right here goes through the hole, the bigger hole, and then your other 2 tabs go into their respective holes. And again, you want to make sure you don't push on any of this top part right here. You can always kind of push on the side, and definitely don't push on the bottom since there's nothing there, but just kind of push on where the board is. Make sure those are in. Okay, you're gonna grab your P18, which is this little cream colored gasket, I guess, from bag 3, and it's gonna fit over this right here. Just push it all the way in. Oops. Again, don't push on the top. It's gonna go all the way in, and then you're gonna grab your C3. You're gonna make sure to wax all the teeth all the way around, and then just line this up, and then just line it up, and then just press this until it goes all the way on. Okay, so that's on there, and then you're gonna grab your first piece that you did, your A5. Then you're gonna grab this wire, and it's also gonna go down into the square hole here. Need like a third arm here, or third hand. And then, yep, and then you're gonna attach it to the bottom right here. And again, try not to, if you can, grab it by the front and the back to push it down. I wouldn't push it by the top. Just make sure it goes all the way in, and then that goes all the way down. Okay. So this is not the next step of the process. However, I put this here to warn everyone, or at least give you some pointers, because I don't want you to do what I had to do, which was completely undo all of the previous steps up until this process. But the point to know is to ensure that the red and white cord from the generator is the exact same length as the white cord from the lights, and that it goes all the way to the back of the bottom of the tractor. Because when you first put it on and how they want you to put it on in the instructions, it doesn't do that. So make sure that that red and white cable is the same length as the white light cable to go all the way to the back. Because if not, then you're going to have to unbuild, take apart everything to get it to that length. So just do that and you'll be good to go. So we're going to grab your A9, which looks like this. You want to make sure that you have the detail size that has the twos and the squares, etched into the board. Yeah, okay. And then you want to grab your C1, and then you want to make sure that it is in the middle here and down. And make sure it's straight. And then grab your C2. And grab your C2. Have it go all the way down to where it goes into the board here. Just kind of get that in there. Okay. Then you want to grab your 4A1 pieces. You have your 4A1s like this. Oh, okay. So you want to have them go into each of these holes right here. Should lock right in. And okay. So you should have your 4A1s on the sides. Have the top and bottom and side to side. And then you want to grab your A10, just right here. Have this go right on top of your C1, C2. And then slide it all the way down. Oh, there's a little, I think there's a little, there we go. It's like a little clip or something that you gotta kind of push it onto so it stays. Okay. So once you get it over that little clip, then it'll stay right there. And you get your A11, your A1, push it down to find the holes of your A1s, and push your boards right onto it. If you want to do like one at a time, that's probably fine. Just making sure that you get it on there. That way everything's locked in. Your first piece that we put together. So you're going to unwind it, and then you're going to feed it through the hole right here. Yep. So feed it through here, making sure that it goes all the way to the front. Just trying to get it all the way through. Okay, and then once you get it through that front piece, you can probably just pull at the edge and then just pull it all the way through. Yeah, and then you're going to connect this front piece. Yep. Connect these front pieces into these holes right here. Again, just trying to be careful not to push too hard. Make sure it snaps right in. There we go. Okay. You have an A3 and 3A2 boards, like so. And if you look, there's on your A9, there's 3 and 2 markers around, and so that's where you put those. You just try to match them up, and you get the edge with the hole is the one that goes over here, because you're going to get it 3 to put it there, and try to press it in. So, yeah. Okay. So now you have four A4 boards, and pretty much you do the exact same thing of what you just did. And then, because it has the 4 on the boards, but then there's really no other places left for it to go to. So you just do the same thing. Just put the boards on the pegs, and then just press them down. Okay. So there's your little round tube. I have a feeling this is the inside of the engine eventually of what's going to be lit up. So, but we'll see. So I decided to go ahead and color some of the pieces, and what I'm using are these craft markers. the different colors, just so you can kind of get some different variations. And I'm sure there's some other ones. I just happened to borrow these from the wife. So instead of staining the pieces, I'm actually just kind of color them as I go, just to make it a little easier to color certain sections, just so I don't have to like stain them and then wait for it to dry and then bring it back in and then put it together and just whatever. So that's what I'm using, and I went ahead and colored some of the pieces for these next pieces that we're putting together. And then for the one that we had just put together, this is what I had colored it. Just kind of used two different types of brown and colored the gear black. I used the black to color the edges of all the black pieces and on the inside, just so you don't see that brown edge. And then the red, I used the red marker to paint the edge of this, just so it kind of highlights it a little bit better. So you're going to get your F1, which is the black piece, and then you're going to get your H16, which is this red piece, and then you're going to get your P, 4 pieces of these I won't say screws, but these tabs in bag P3, and they want you to hold it over top of it and push it through, and then use this piece to push over top of it to push it all the way down. Now I used it on a flat surface initially, but you can't push them all the way in because they stick out on the bottom. Try to get this to fit through here, and then your two tabs right here are going to fit into the 2 holes right here, and they should just let you right on there, because I don't see. Oh, there we go. Gonna have to line it up, and then they just slide right onto it. Yep, just like so. Okay. And then what you're going to do is get your P25, which is this clear tube. And you got to take the plastic off, which I haven't yet. And I'm wearing gloves just because of all the stain that are on the pieces, just so I don't get all the colors on my fingers and everything. But this is your clear tube that you're going to get out, and then you're going to put this over this piece here. Get your E3, which is the blue piece, and then your G9. Then grab your A16, and then push it through. And then the tab of this one is going to go into the bottom hole that's underneath right here. So try to slide this over. Oh, it's a little tight too. There we go. So slide that down and slide it in the hole there. All right. Like that. A15. I colored this blue too. A15. And you have your G7. And that's going to go up into here like this. Doesn't fit too. Oh, yeah. It does fit kind of snug. Yeah. Just push it down where it's flat. Careful to not push on the tips right here, because you could potentially break them. So there we go. So we're going to make sure this is flat. Get your A12, and then get your A13 to goes. A13 that goes into the endpoints right here. This first tab right here. And again, you can push from the bottom to get that in there, and then grab your G8, which is this piece, and then that goes into here as well. Yep, okay. So you want to make sure all 3 pieces are lined up. Then you want to grab A17, which is this right here. Make sure your 2 separate tabs are to the left. And then have it go into here, and then all of these tabs on the bottom are going to go into each of the holes. And then try to get it all to fit as best you can. It is tight. Okay, got that one in. And just push it all the way down. And then you want this top piece to go in through the top part up here. Should slide right on through. And the bottom piece will go into the hole here at the bottom. I don't know how far it's going to go. Oh, okay. Okay, so that goes into there. And there we go. So push that in to where it's in all the way. And then push this one in as far as it'll go. Okay. So there's that. So you're going to get your E4, which is this right here. Get a little closer. You're going to get 2 springs that are your P24s out of bag 1. And then you're going to grab 2 screws from bag P5. And they give you a little screwdriver that you can use. And then what they tell you to do is make sure that the spring is to the left of the spring that you're going to be screwing down. So, and there's kind of 2 different versions of it. I don't think it really matters which one you do, but you just want to make sure it's to the left, or that it's facing up. Go down to where it's semi-tight, and then just repeat the same process for the other side. You can always tighten them later once we get to the later step that we're going to be using it on. Okay, so move that out of the way. So now, going to have our next pieces here. So you got your A22, A21, A20, and 2 A19s. So the easiest part, and then you're going to wax the top of A20 and the side of A21. It's probably going to be rotating. But the easiest way is probably get your A19s and just put them into the bottom of A20 first. And then grab your A21. And then slide that down. And then you've got your A22. Now it doesn't say to wax the inside of this ring, but I went ahead and waxed it anyway, because since this is going to go on top, it's going to be turning. So it's probably good to wax the inside of this and maybe on the outside of this right here. Make sure you turn this down. Have that like that. A23. Put that on top. So this should go down a little further. I just have to kind of keep pushing this down until it goes further down. There we go. So it should go past A23 should go past the holes on your A19s. Then you want to grab your P11. It's from bag 1, and it has a little measuring thing on the directions to make sure it's the right size, and you put it in the little washer. I'm sorry. Yeah, P11, your rod. You want to grab 2 P19s, and they are going to go inside of, get that there. It's your P19 and your P11. You put it in, make sure your E4 is right in the middle. And then you put the rod on the washers in, and just make sure the rod is evenly spaced, and push the washers in all the way into the edges. And it should lock in pretty good, and it should spin and rotate. Your F2 and F3 pieces that look like this. And you want to just push these inside tabs here. And then do the same for this. Okay, and then you're going to grab 2 of P8 screws. They're super small. And you're going to screw them down into the holes right here, but you're not going to screw them down all the way. And again, you don't want it to go all the way down, but and nothing else. It's also to keep the long pieces on. Keep them. So now you turn, put the screw on, and then for the spring, turn and put the spring on. That's all you're doing, is just making it to where it's kind of like shocks. You just want to make sure these screws, your P5s, aren't too low for these springs to come off. Okay. Hopefully they won't be too hard or too tight, which you don't feel like. Just gotta, once you line them up in the holes, they go pretty much right in. These notches go right up again here, and then these lock into this piece here. Should is the key word. Whether it actually does or not is the other question. And there we go. Okay. Our E7. Got our E7, A25, E10, and A24. And I want to make sure on the A25 that the arrow is pointing that way. Right there. Yeah, okay. So that just pushes all the way through. And then you get this. Looks like it goes right here. Stops right there. And then this will go so now what you're going to grab is your E2, Make sure the longer part is on the right. And then pretty much you're going to line each of your tabs for your boards here are going to go into each of the 4 holes. And then this right here is going to go into the top. And they want you to wrap your wire up here kind of at the top and have it go back through this way. Or if nothing else, at least get all of the tabs kind of lined up. Oh, like so. That went on kind of easy. And then make sure that's in all the way, and then just push it all the way down. Oh, that was it. That was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. There we go. It does go all the way against it. Okay. Just had to push it a little bit more. Close enough. Okay, so that's how that should look. On the side here, put 826, which is this right here, which is going to go the hole right here. It's going to hold one of the bigger pieces once we, the front pieces, once it gets in there. Grab A28, C6, and C4, and on the C4, they want you to wax this top part up here. So grab this. Let that go all the way through, and then let this go right on top of it. Gonna grab your A27, which is this. Gonna grab your C7. You get your A29s. Put on the top and on the bottom. Don't really have it secured in any way. Oh, okay. So these front tabs will go into here. Might be easy just to do like one at a time. Here we go. See if I can get this on here without okay, so I got that on there. Now let's see if I can okay, so okay, have that on there now. Then you put this in here. And trying to get all the tabs into the holes here. Push it in. There we go. I think I got those in now. So I got those in. And that should close just like that. So what we're going to do is have this go over here. You got these 2 tabs that'll go in here, and then this tab that'll go up here at the top. I'll slide it down. Oh, and you got this right here. That goes in there. And then once you have all 3 or 4 tabs in there, then you will get 2 of your P7 screws and screw them in these 2. Okay, and then when you close it, you push that over, and then it is locked in. So that's how the front of the train should look. You got your side piece on, which I don't know why you'd even want to open this, you know, because once you close it, I mean, it's in there. So if you want, you can always just glue this to the front and really not have to worry about it ever again. A 30 piece right here, and then we're going to be putting the bottom right here. So it has the arrow. Make sure you're facing to the back because you need the bigger hole. The bigger hole to the left and the smaller one. That's why I had them on the wrong hole. There we go. Okay. So it won't be perfectly straight, or be just kind of like that. Either way. Okay. So now we're going to grab our F8 here. And I don't think it matters. Oh, yeah, it does. You always tell the decorative side, and it has the little lines around stuff. Okay, you're going to grab your A34s. And these are going to go where the holes with the circles. Okay. Then you're going to grab your A32s. They will go right here. And then grab your A31, and you want to make sure to wax the top part of this right here. Why would you wax the top part? Okay, I would wax the top and wax the bottom because it's gonna. I have a feeling this is gonna be moving back and forth, so I would do both. And then grab your A33 and then wax the bottom of it. And then push that down. Okay, and then you want to grab your rod. Let's see, P10. That's in bag 1, like that. Then you want to grab your washers, your P19. Put it in one end there. Have it go all the way down. And then grab another P18 and put it on the bottom. And then just make sure this is being able to go back and forth. And then you're going to grab your F5, which is here. Then grab your G3. And this is going to go right here. Then you're going to grab your A36. I colored that one black too, just to kind of get it to match. I'm going to be going back and forth probably between the black and the brown, just to add a little contrast. And then have your A35, which I colored that as well, but wax the edges or the end all the way around because I think it's going to be used for something. So that's why I didn't put any color on it, because I think this is going to be waxed and something's going to be rotating on it. So okay, so now what we're going to be doing is putting this inside of here. Okay. Just see. Oh, it should have a hole right here for that to go into, right? Yep. Okay, so you push that in. Okay. Make sure the black part goes underneath the wires, like this. Goes in between the two floors. There's 4 tabs. These 4 tabs right here are gonna go into these 4 holes right here. And I would just kind of work them in. And then you have a notch right here and a notch right there. And yeah, make sure your wires are above it. And I would just slowly make sure you don't push on anything you don't need to be pushing on. That one on. That one on. Okay. I think it's all in there. Again, you just got to make sure your wires are both on the black. Get your brown there, get the black and the black. And again, if you want to wear gloves, because the black pieces always kind of shed a little. So, okay, I think I've got it all there. Okay, yep, looks like I got it all there. So that's how that should look. And then it's at the bottom with me doing the brown on this piece. And that'll lock in on the other side. So we got our C9. We want to make sure this edge is on the bottom. Then you're going to grab your A38s. And we're going to put these down into here. Okay, and then get your C11. Put it right on top of it. Okay. And press that all the way down. Okay. Then you're going to get your C8 and A37. You want to make sure you wax the bottom part right here of your C8. And then you want to push this in from the bottom. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. Okay. Now the fun part. Okay. Just move this out of the way. Okay, so you have your C12 and C15 and A39 and C13, C15 and C14, and your 2 screws. So what you want to do is, and you want to wax the teeth of this one, and then wax the edge of this one. And then the screws actually fit all the way through all of everything except for the very last piece. So if you want, you can always just put it, kind of like work it backwards. What? Okay, this should be the same. And you also want to make sure to wax inside the hole here. Get your C15. Put that on there. And then now, what you do once you get that is flip it over and then screw these in onto this right here. And you just kind of have to do a little for each one until this gets screwed in all the way. Okay. Not too tight, but just want to make sure not too tight. Now I got the screws kind of sticking out just a little bit, but I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to hurt anything or not, but once you have this gear set up, we're going to get your P17 out of bag 1, which is the long pole with the square, plastic square on it. I'm going to insert this through here to where that's either right on the edge or all the way in, one of the two. And then what you're going to do is you're going to insert this where the edges are going to go right into the holes here. A42 first, and put this in. And then this is, I gotta take this back out. Put this down in the middle here, and then put this down in here. Grab your C10. Put this down. And then get your other C10. And it's just holding this, the top piece on. Making sure that's all the way down. Then what they wanted you to do to build this, this little tool, which was this A41, E13, A40 with the tabs to hook everything together. And you're going to use this to measure out some of the poles and the washers on how far they need to go. And they have the numbers on top of which one you need to use. With it pushed in as far in to the right, go ahead and put a P19 on the left. And then you're going to use number 5. Just make sure it's in there good, and then just push it in. You can hold it down on something. Push it in where it won't go down anymore. And there you go. And then you want to do the same for the opposite side. Push it in there. You want to use number 4. And that'll hold that in there. And then push this in till it won't go down any further. And then boom. There you go. Okay, everything kind of seemed to fit pretty well. Except for the wire here. Okay. Not squishing the wires or anything, but I just don't like how there's really hardly any room for this one wire to do anything with, because you don't have a lot of space. So you have the rod into the notch here, you have everything down into underneath. Grab your A44, which is this right here, and put it under here, and fingers. There we go. That way it won't come undone. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Get F6, which is this. I think I may have screwed that up. And this is going to go fit into this right here. Okay, yeah, it's supposed to go up here. There we go. Now there we go. So 2 tabs there, and then the tab pops up in right here. So you almost have like 2 rails. Gotta get that on. Another rod P10 out of your bag 1, which is a real small one, and then get your P16 washers, or P19 washers. P19 washers, and then I'll put the bottom one on. Let this whole part moves back and forth. I still don't like that this wire is barely hanging on. And I actually unwrapped it, because this was the very first wire we put on where it said to wrap around something. The wrap around the post or whatever. Actually didn't wrap around it. I'm gonna grab our F14 piece and our F21 piece. Push this into here. Okay. You're gonna push this in and push these onto the 2 tabs that were there. What I'm gonna do is grab your H9, which is the little red. I'm gonna make sure the hole is on this side right here. And then this is gonna go into the hole here down at the bottom. Just push that in to where it's flat on the slant right here. P12 out of bag number 1. Make sure you measure it to make sure to insert the right one. Get a P19 on the end of it. You're gonna have it go through C16. And then get another groove or a washer, put it on the end, and then use number 7 and push that in. So pretty much just making sure that there's a washer on either end right there. Then you're gonna get your F4, which is this right here, and then you're gonna grab this, and it's gonna go in here at the bottom, and then you're gonna grab another P19 and put it at the end. And then this time you're going to use number 2, just right here, and then slide that in, and it's pretty much all the way. And just make sure it's rough, and then you also want to just make sure that this is able to spin pretty freely. It's not too tight or anything. Grab another P12 from bag number 1. Get a washer, P19. This time you're just going to have it flush against something. And then you're going to have it go through this other hole up at the top. And then if you want, just lay it, oh, well, you can't lay it flat. Grab your other washer. And if you can hold it, you can, I think that's why they want you to use this. So you can push this down, because you want the washer to be on either side while it's flush. Just like that. C18, A45, C17, and 2 screws that are P7s. And my screwdriver. Okay. And then what we're going to do is see if these fit in. Yep. So it's almost going to be like those other ones that we did. where they'll go in. And then you have your turn it over, A45. And then you have your C17. Okay. So those in there, you want to make sure to wax the gears. I think any gears you have in here, you're going to be waxing. Pushing this with the smaller one in onto the right here. Make sure that these two connect. They spin, and then you're going to grab another P19. Yep. And then use number 6. Push that in. Just make sure it's in all the way. Yep. Just make sure it's in all the way. And then again, just make sure it turns pretty smooth. So end it there. And then make sure everything gets attached, including this right here. Really? Okay, don't move. Don't move. Here we go. Okay. Okay, got everything popped in. That is in there. So now, just make sure everything's spinning. Grab your F13. And looks like it goes right here on these 3 little pegs. Okay. So you have that on there. So get your F18. And then get your A47, which is right here. Put onto this, which I painted green. Sliding this on. Okay. Then grab your, select some dials, A48. Oh, I'm sorry. Grab A46 first. And pop that into here. Like so. And then grab A48. Put that right here. I'm gonna grab A46 or a F19, which is a small little piece here. And it's gonna go into right here. And you wanna push up on it. Make sure it's pushed up all the way. And then, oh, that's interesting. Then you are going to slide this right down into here. And so yeah, so that should just slide right in. This little curl thing goes right there. That doesn't really hook anything right there. And then there's a little tab at the bottom that should come out right there. So that's your little backing part. And kind of on my own, just to make sure everything was working. Okay, so you're going to grab P23, which is your connector, your circuit board right here. And then you're going to grab your 2 other connectors for your lights and the motor. And you're going to plug them into here. These 2 on the ends, and then you're going to grab your battery pack and put 2 AAA batteries inside of it, and then hook that connector to the end one right here. And then once you do that, then you're going to grab 2 screws, P9s, and screw it down into here and to here. And then once you plug everything in, they want you to turn it on to make sure everything works. So let me turn this off, and then so you can see lights and everything. And here's the motor running right here, if you can see it moving. And here's your lights. And you can see kind of the lights inside right there. So it's kind of cool. You can kind of see it under the bottom and inside the thing here. So that's how you know kind of everything's working. A49, which is this right here. And it's going to go down right here. But you got to make sure the wires are all over here. And that's why I was making sure, when I was telling you to make sure that the wire for the lights was long enough to come, you know, to at least the outside of here. But as long as it comes to there, that, you know, was sufficient. But when you push this down, you just want to make sure the lights or the wires don't get underneath or get squished. Yeah, I'm missing something. Okay. F12, which is this right here. And you're gonna do that. And then this is going to go on the front right here. And try to make sure I don't push down too hard. Right there. F16. And then you're going to grab your F17s and put them on top. And then one on the bottom. And this is not going to be fun. But this, I'm going to put this on top of here. Yep. So this is going to go right into here, into the bigger gaps. Oops. There we go. You're going to grab your A50, which I colored it brown. It's kind of your floor. Once you get the floor in, that'll hold it in place. There we go. And then just push it in. Once you get it kind of lined up, you gotta get the floor here. Okay, there we go. So push that in as far as it'll go. It should be flush floor. So you need to grab your C23 and 22. Not gonna color them like that. And they're both gonna go together into the hole right here. Kind of like that. And then get the next one. Kind of just push down and get it to lock in. What you're going to do is grab your H1, which is your red one, pieces right here. And then 2 of those, and then 4 of these F10 pieces right here. They're going to go down on your A52. So I already put one on. So what you want to do is, and these have little arrows on them, pushing them down. So you want to make sure that the shorter gap is on top, longer is on the bottom, and you want to make sure that it's facing the side of the detail of the etched side. Make sure to kind of put the tabs in the hole, And I'm not on the edge side. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to push this down into here. And then you want to make sure that it's centered. And then just push it down individually or at the same time. And then just make sure it goes down all the way. And just do that for both. Make sure they're straight. And there you go. You get those on there. Then you're going to turn this around. And then you're going to put this down into the opening right down here. Just make sure it's flush. Oh, well, okay. So when you push it down, push it in there, push it down this way because it should shift, as you can see, how it's to the left of this opening. The smaller area kind of get pushed down in there. And then you want to grab A51 and then push it into the hole. There we go. Oh, yeah, it's a little tight. Okay. So that's going to keep this from going anywhere. Oh, I guess what also help is if you pushed that into the tabs on here, that would also help as well. You're going to grab your A53 and you're going to put it up and under here and then just kind of lock it into the opening right here. Just kind of locks in place. And then you're going to grab your battery compartment, flip it around, slide it through, then grab another A53 and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then push this in. Just push it forward if you need to, but not to. Okay. And once you get that in there, then push your battery compartment back to where it's centered between the two. And your on and off switch will kind of stop it from going any further. Is you're going to grab your C21, just here. You're going to wax the part right here. Wax the part right here. And then you're going to grab your C19, wax the teeth on this. You're going to go through here, and then you're going to push this all the way to the tabs to where it clicks. If I'm reading this right. Push it to where it won't go any further. Just like that. So it won't go any further. Okay. Then you got your two C20s, where one is going to go all the way up here to the top, to right here, and the other one is going to go. The other one is going to go right into the other gap that's right here. Then grab your C20s, go inside the circle, and then kind of lay it straight down for now. Just as long as you're inside the there. And then grab your A54, and then it goes on the holes. It'll go inside the holes, one right here and on the other side. So you're gonna get your B2, which is this right here. You're gonna slide this on. To where it fits inside there. Wax the ring in your B2 and then also inside of this right here. Then you're going to grab your your B1. You want to make sure this is pushed in all the way over here. And then have this locked into there. And then you're going to push this down like that. And then got that on. And now bend that down. Okay, so now you're going to grab your F9. Push this over here. And then grab your P5 screws. And then screw these in right here. Just do it hand tight. On our back piece here, I'm gonna grab your F7, and this is little like half accordion, and then fold it kind of in right here to where it's like this, and you're gonna put these tabs in the side holes. Grab your B3. Make sure the cord doesn't get in the way. Make sure it's in the little groove right here. And then put this in. And then try to, the keyword is try to. There we go. Get a P19. Oh, hole number 5. Push that in all the way. That's pretty much just putting it right flush with that. F20, which is this right here, and then we're going to place this right here, and then pop it down, hopefully over this without breaking anything.
That's if you're lucky. And you greasy on by getting 2 checks.
Oh, it just fits right in. And then you're gonna grab your P19, and pretty much you're just gonna, you can use your number 5 on your measuring tool, but as long as you just push it flush with that right there, then that's fine. F15, and then this goes onto this piece right here, and it should lock down into that right there. Once I get that on there, and it should just push down just like that. And we're going to get your B4 pieces, and we're going to place these, try to push this through here. It should go in pretty well. Okay. Grab your F26, which will be this piece, and we're going to be placing it right onto here. I'm just gonna just push down as best as you can and make sure it's Here in the middle, C26, which is this, and then your E11, which is this, and your C24, which is this. And what we're going to be doing is get your P7 screws, which are the super small ones. They should just go right on through. And your E11 should go right through them as well. And then your C24 should be what gets screwed into. So just kind of holding it, getting the screwdriver. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you have that piece, and you want to wax your C24 around the end and wax the gear right here as well. B5, then another E11, and then a C25, and two more of your P7 screws. And then what you want to do, now you screwed these two on the top and the bottom, so you want to make sure that when you screw these other ones, they're going to go into the sides. So you get your B5, which is going to go around it. Yeah. And wax, you can wax inside the groove inside of the B5. And then you have your, oh, this is going to be hard. Okay. So grab the screws here. You get your E10, your E11. Okay, and then trying to line these up. There we go. I think I got it. And screwing these down. And just doing the same thing as you did before, is just screwing it down until it's nice and tight. Okay. And at least where this is still, where you can move it, and I don't think this is going to go anywhere. So there's that. And then what you're going to do is slide this onto here to where, yeah, where it kind of where the teeth lock into your first gear. Down into here, your F32, which is this right here, making sure the opening is to the left. Oh, wait a minute, hang on. I almost forgot something. So you're going to grab your B6, which is, slide it down to this. Okay, where that locks in. Now you get your F32. And then what you're going to do, see if I can land this without, you're going to notch it into here. If I can. Make sure that's in the middle, and then notch it over here together. Okay. A B7. And slide it through the hole. Make sure you wax the B7 all the way around. And then you're going to grab your B8 on here. And then grab your two B9s. And press it through the hole, and hopefully it won't break anything. There we go. Okay. And grab your B10. And it looks like this goes right into here. Just gonna have to push it down until it locks it in. Got your C27 that you're going to push into here first. Make sure you push this out to put it over your B5 here, and then you're going to put it over the notch that's right here. So it should look at least something like that. And then grab your G4, and then that will go over the top of it to hold it in. Yep, just like that. So that way you can move this, I'm guessing, back and forth. You just got to be careful not to break anything. So you got your B11, you're going to start with B13, and then you go ahead and do your E9 and push it in just so it locks it in. And then grab your B15 into the third hole. It should slide right in, and then the B14 will go into the next hole, and B13 will go into the very end hole. That way they just slide in and they fit a lot better, so you don't have to try to put E9 on individually. So it should look something like that. And then we're going to go ahead and put it on. So the hooks here are going to go down into here, and then these two for E9 is going into the front pieces right here. So it's like you just kind of, whoops, put that in there, push it down, and then go ahead and push that down into like that. And grab your E8, and it's going to go right here into the front. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then you're going to grab your C28. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the E5s into here, and hopefully I can get these in to the holes here, because kind of don't think I can get them in. There we go. Got them in. And then get your B12. And then then it'll go on top here, and it'll go down here, and that will lock on right like that. These B19, so you're gonna get this out of the way. Okay, so we're gonna pop this in here. Oh, slide this in here first, and then kind of pop it in there, and then do the same for this one. Slide it in, and then pop it into the ring here. Just so you can see what it looks like. You just got the rings inside of these right here. Just kind of looking like that. After your one bag, do your P10 bars. Your rods are super small. And of course, a bunch of P19s. And then you're going to grab an I2 and put that on there. You're going to do 2 of them. So you can do this and put it on the inside going out. The other side, put an I2 and another P19, and then push them together. And then P19. And then smash it together. B20, it's going to go right here, which push it down. And you're going to grab out of your bag 1, another a P13 metal rod. And this one is going to go all the way through. Okay. So have it go all the way through. Okay, so you put the P12 or P19. Okay. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. So you got that rod in right there. It goes all the way through. It's just sticking out just a little bit, but it's just mainly to keep these right here in line so they don't go anywhere. Okay, and then you're going to get your G5, which is this. Have the light go through it, and it'll pretty much wrap around the front part here to make sure that stays in place. So just wraps around here. And you have your B16 and 17. It'll go right here. And that go down just like that. B18, your C38, and your screw P7. Those 3 together, and then find the hole. Yep. Okay, so you got those pieces on top of there. Then what we're going to do is get your B21, B22, and B23. So okay, those through there, and then the last piece will go here to hold it in, hopefully. So you want to get your P16 and your bag 1, which is just your really long pole that you have. You're going to get a P19 and use your hole number 5 to push it down. I already did this, but I'm just letting you know. Use your hole number 5, push it down to the spot. Then you're going to get another P19 and use hole number 6 to push it down to a spot. And then you're going to get your H13, which is the red wheel right here. And you're going to put a P4 from the non-decorative side up, so the rod is facing up. And then get another P19 and put on top of it. So, and you want to get the two P19s kind of tight so this isn't too loose or anything, but it should look at least something like that. And so now what we're going to be doing, which I got a flashlight just so I can see, is you should have a little opening right next to my green dial, just right there. So you're going to put this down into here, and there is one of our tabs. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Just down here at the bottom to fit that in. Okay. So there's our tab, this tab right here that we put in, that's where you're going to try to find. So just get your flashlight. Make sure it goes all the way down. C48. And then you're going to grab, in bag 3, you're going to grab a P20, which is the little black square. And you're going to put it inside of your C48. Gonna look like that. And then you're going to, of course, wax the gear. And then you're going to get your B24. You're going to put on top. And you're going to get your P7s, of course. Can't do this without the screws. And then you're going to grab B25. And you're going to screw it into that, because the screws will not go in. Okay, so screwdriver where it needs to go, but you pretty much just want to make sure that those two pieces are on there really good. Okay, and then you're going to want to use, oh, no, not that one. Use your other measuring tool that's got the little notch on it. One's on top. Okay. So you put that, make sure you hold it. Put this through. And then you're going to treat this like you do your other ones. And you got to use your notch and avoid the screws. And then push that in to that length, just like that. So you got like a little bit left. And then you just grab a P19 and just put on the end of it to hold it all together. And just push it up to where it's just right on the edge of it. I'll grab another rod out of your bag 1. P14, just kind of the middle length. And then you're going to grab a B26. Put it on the end of it, and then this is going to go through down at the bottom. Your little holes right here. That'll go through. Starting over here. Okay, so it doesn't say the P19 has to be a certain distance, so I just made it flush for now. And then what you're going to do is get a C29. You're going to put that on, and then grab your C47. Of course, wax it. Put that on there. And then your B26 that you put on the other one. And then a P19 on the end. And then just push it in. Oops. Until it's flush. Main thing is making sure your gears are linked together. So just turn them. Just kind of work out any kinks they may have. An H13. And then you're going to grab another P4. Where's my decorative side? Yeah. And then you're going to grab another P4. And you're going to pop it out from the non-decorative side, making sure it's sticking out just like the wheel. And then this is actually going to go on to right here. Just push that on and then get a G4 and it'll go right on top of it. And just be careful pushing it down. There we go. So that's kind of how that looks. First, we're going to start with our F22. And then we're going to get our B27s and try to put these in without breaking anything. Okay, so now you want to make sure the decorative side is facing down and slide this on. Just go around, push it all the way down. Okay, so it should look something like that. So that's the top, okay. And then grab your B28. Make sure the open windows are to the right of this top piece. Just line everything up and then it all should fit. Right on top of it. Grab your C30, place it on top. You want to make sure that the C30 lines match up with the lines on your H3, because if you alter it, you'll notice how the lines, you can see more than what you need. So you want to make sure that is lined up and has a little template for you. And then grab your P5 screws. There's 3 of them. And I'm just gonna start them. Just make sure they're hand tight, not too tight, because I mean it's not gonna go anywhere anyway. So there you go. There's that. Okay, so now you're gonna grab your B2 and make sure you wax it really good. Put this on here, and then hit this and make sure it's facing. Well, this is supposed to be kind of straight, but it's not, so I'm just gonna have this go. There we go. So once you have that piece on, then you get your C31, place it in there, and then grab your B29 and place it on there to lock everything in. Okay, so there you go. There's that on there. Not looking too bad. All right, let's see what we got next. I feel like we're working on the back wheels. So I already did one because you got to do 2 of them. So that's kind of what it looks like. So not too shabby. All right, so we're going to start with our G6. we're going to put our B30s in, because eventually you're just going to put everything down to this point. So just put these in. So, okay, and then you got your H4. Just getting. There we go. Get your H4, and then your E1. And it don't really matter how you're putting them on or anything, so just get them on there. Okay. And then it don't really matter where you put the H7, just as long as the tab is facing up and you get your arrows on the very ends right here. You want to make sure those are facing up, and then when you put them in the holes, just make sure to push them all the way down to where they lock in, and then just work your way around. Just make sure the arrow's up. Push it in the hole. And just lock it down. Just make sure it's straight, and then just work your way around. Okay, so when you get all of those in, okay, you want to line it where your H7's over here, and you want to grab your G11. You want to put the circle over that tab, and then try to line the rest of them up. And if you need to get like a flashlight to put on top of it, where you can see where the rest of them are, that'll help a little bit. There we go. Should be able to just push right on down. And just pushing from the bottom to go up into the G11. Okay. Now when you do that, oh, well, I actually forgot a couple things, but it doesn't matter. You want to get your H4. Make sure that is on. And then your G6. Line all those hose up. Okay, so there you go. There's that. So not looking too bad. And then what you want to do is flip it over. And then grab your E6. Grab your E6 and then just line it up with all the tabs. And if you've got the G11 on it, it shouldn't be too hard. And then grab your P20s from your bag 3. Whoops, where'd it go? That's those square, black squares. And then just put them inside. They actually fit pretty snug. They're not too tight or anything like that. And then what you want to do is get your H12, the non-decorative side, and flip it over. And then just line up the holes again. Oh, there we go. Line up the hose again, and then push that in. Okay, and then grab your P28, which is in bag 4, which is the big rubber part, and just wrap it around it. Okay, there you go. There's your wheel. So you should have 2 of them. So you want to put the other end of the rod on a flat surface, so when you push down, it's not going to go anywhere. And then you're going to put this on here as best you can. At least to get it to where you have the rod sticking out, and then you want to grab your number 8 to have it right here to know how far down to go. Okay, so after that, you want to grab your H11, which will go like there, and you want to grab your P19. And while this is still on something, it should just slide right on there, just like that. Okay, and then what you want to do is flip it over and pretty much do the exact same thing on the other side. Just kind of slowly work your way down to where the rod is sliding through. Ouch. And then grab, what was it, 8? That's in there, and then H11, and your P19. There we go. So there's your, got your wheels on now. But not as many things to put on for this front one as we did the back one, but kind of the same thing to start with. You just start with your F27, and then you got your B31s that you're just going to put into here. Make sure they're all straight. Okay. You want to get your C33. Just try to line it all up. Push it down. Then your H18. Line it up. Just make sure it's good to go. Then get your other F27. Yep, just push it down. It's good to go. And then get your P27 out of the F4 out of the 4 bag, which is the smaller rubber band, a rubber piece to put around the tire. Just make sure it's good on both sides. Okay. I guess I'm good. Okay. Okay. So first, you want to grab your B32, and you want to make sure that the long end is up and down and not side to side, because it won't go on to this all the way to where it needs to if it isn't. Then grab your C32, and you want to make sure to wax the edges. And put this on, just have it go all the way through. And you want to make sure it's not covering the hole there. And then you put your tire on. Then you want to put your B33 on like this, and then you want to slide it down to create the hole on the very bottom, and then grab your B34 and then put that into the hole to lock everything in. Okay. Bunch of kitty fur. Kitty hair. Okay. So got that wheel on, and got this other wheel on the same. Okay, so I want to take this opportunity to just kind of show where we're at and kind of show what works, since we're at this stage with it, like for the most part, all the gears installed and the wheels on. So with your lever all the way over to the right, And then when you turn it on, the wheels should go forward. And having it on, and they're going a little faster. Look, there we go. There we go. So it's like catching. So okay. So and if you have this into the middle, you turn it on, it'll just spin and the wheels won't turn it off. And then if you put it up to the front or to the left, you turn it on, and the wheels aren't spinning as fast. It's kind of like first gear. But if you push your lever here all the way to the left and turn it on, the wheels go backwards. So that's your reverse. So that's what this is. This is your reverse and forward motion for the gears to move. Oh, but that's how you should have it. Or at least that's what should be working. You just have to be careful moving this too much, because I have a feeling this right here is gonna, which I think I've already kind of broke it, because moving it back and forth so much. Even though there is wax on the one piece right here, I can see it coming apart a little bit. So I may have to not move it as much, or just, yeah, because this is really tender. But no, that's just kind of wanted to show that. Just that's how the gears should be working. And at this point right here, because we're gonna grab our H14, our G12. Goes in here. And then our J2. Go like that. And this is going to go on right here. Okay. Just making sure it's down all the way. For this side, we're going to do, it's kind of the same ones. Get a J2, G13. Here. Grab a H14 again. Pretty much do the exact same thing we just did. And then J2. And then get a F28. Make sure you get a decorative side up. Okay, that's in there. And then this will go into the side. Right here. Kind of like an extra step. Okay. And then just repeat the process for the other side. Okay. So get that on there. Okay. So you got your two. I got those on. Okay, so this next part I kind of went ahead and did, because there's a bunch of smaller screws. So you take your G1, which is this part right here, and then you get your P32, which is the gold brackets, and then you use P32. Then you get your P9 screws and screw the brackets into your G1. Then you want to get your C34 piece, and then get 4 P8 screws and screw those screws. You don't actually will screw the C34 won't actually the screws won't screw into it. It'll just go through it. But there's 4 holes on the back of this, on the wagon right here, the storage. There's 4 holes in here that the screws will actually go into. So you just kind of have to do one at a time, or if you can get all 4 in. So you got your B38, which is this bottom piece here. And then you have 2 B35s, which are these end pieces, and then 10 B36s, which are these smaller pieces in the middle. So I went ahead and you just pop them in, tabs into the holes. So I just put them down at the bottom. And then your C36 is going to go right on top of it. So I wanted to show that. So I would start with, since the end pieces are taller, I would work on getting those in first, just to get it started, to line it up. And then I would start lining each of the other ones in to each of the holes. And if you have to push it down to kind of line it up, that's probably going to be the best bet. Just kind of line it up and then just slowly push it down, kind of like that. All right. And then what you're going to do is grab your B37, and then the little small bar on the back of this one is going to slide down like this. And it's just going to just slide all the way down, and then it should lock into the top of. So it should look like that. And then you have your C35 little tab that'll go right into here. Guessing just to kind of keep it in place. And then with this up, you're going to put this probably over the ledge right here, and then just slide it all the way back. Well, maybe not all the way back. Is it all the way back? Oh. Put it into the back right here. It should fit right into the little groove. Once you line it up, yep, it fits right in there. Push it back and then flip that down. It should go right on top of it. And that's how that should look. We have our F24 pieces right here, and then we got our B45. It's gonna go right on top of it. So just slide it down till it locks in for both sides. So it's nice and smooth. Okay, and then we're gonna grab our B46. I think it matters. Grab your F11s, and these are going to go onto the outside right here. And then these will go right here on the inside. Should just slide right through. And then, whoops. And then these should go onto the back parts right here. So those should lock in. Okay. And bag one, they're P30s, which are these little wires with the angles on the end. And you are going to place Okay, so that's it. Okay, and then line this up, and then kind of push them out to get it to line up with the other hole. There we go. See, piece of cake. And then do the same for the other side. I don't think it matters which way it goes, but just whatever works best. There we go. Okay, so those are in. How it should look. And again, I don't think it matters which way, if one's in front of the other, but okay. B47. B47, you have your B48. Just slide it from the back. Put that all the way down so it locks in from the back. And then grab B49, but make sure the words are on the front, which since I stained it, it's hard to see the words because I didn't really engrave it too well. So you put it on here. Okay, so it should look something like that. And then on the front part here, then these should go right onto here. You just got to be careful not to press too hard on them, but just pressing enough to get them on. Okay, so there's that. We're gonna grab our H8s, which are these right here. You know, make sure to grab your decorative side and put these on the side here. So you also want to make sure that the straight edge is in the back and the curved is in the front. So just line it up and just press it down. It should go right on. Just make sure you use your decorative side. And then do the same for the other side. Just line it up. Press it down. There you go. There's that. Okay, now the fun part is your B44, which is this right here. So you're just going to wrap it around the top here. Just start on one end, press it down, then wrap it around, and find the other end and press that down. Okay, so actually not too bad. So let's do the B42. It looks like the little ovals. So it's going to go here in the back. Just be careful pushing it down. You don't want to bend anything or have it get pushed too far. You definitely don't want to push on anything you don't need to be pushing on. Okay. And then the B43. It's the same. So I'll just start at one, press down on the other. Okay. So the F23, I would just go ahead and, if you don't glue these on top, then I would just go ahead and push these in separately. There we go. Okay. That way, when you push these down, then you can just push on to the other tabs of your 42 and 43. They should just go right on. Yep. Okay. So you see, you really don't tell a difference one way or the other. So definitely put them into the F23 first and then just push them right on down. Okay, and then you got your B39 and you got your B40 tab. And then just place it all the way down. Just making sure that it goes into the hole down here. And it just locks it in like that. So there's your top, all underneath. Okay, so something I forgot before the canopy is you need your H10 to go onto here. So just slide that on there. Get that on just like that. And then you can also grab your H15 and go ahead and put this on here just so you're not trying to push on it later, or at least while it's on the tractor. Just push this on here, just make sure that the sign is right side up. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and try to push these on, and they're gonna go into the 4 holes right here. So you just want to start in the back and just kind of slide them down and then adjust the front ones to have them go in. Just push them down until they won't go down anymore. Don't push too hard though. And then just make sure you don't push on anything you're not supposed to be pushing on. And just kind of rotate it until they won't go down anymore. Okay. And there we go. So there's your canopy. Lean this on the front just so you can get it in here. Just push this through the bottom. And then put the P19 on top. And then just slide it all the way down until it's flush. Like so, just so it's sticking out, because that's where we're going to be hooking our trailer to. Your P26, which is in your number 3 bag. And then your H5. And then, okay, so I think what they want you to do is bend this and insert the light back inside kind of the hole right here. As long as you have it right at the top. And then push this down to there, and then have this go. Or is that even going to be able to fit? What is going on here? Okay, and it says to push here so you don't mess with it. But, have just one of the light beads, be right here at the top. And then I want you to grab like some cotton that it has with it. that you can kind of push down into it, and I'm guessing you don't need a lot because it's I mean, you really can't push too much down in here because of the wires that's already down in here. So it's just kind of push a little, and then if you want to just tear a little bit apart, and then that way it's kind of a somewhat in there to have some type of smoke simulate. Turn the lights and everything on. You gotta open this up and take this part off to get to the battery part. So let me turn the light off here and then turn that on. So you can see a little bit of the light, up here. So not too bad. And now we got our people, our 2 workers. So I went ahead and put these together. So you have your C44, 45, 46. Then you have the B50 connector that holds the arms on. You just put it in, put the arms on either side. So this is just the color I used, and I colored both sides just so in case you see it from either side of it. And then the other one, this was the color I used for that one. Again, just colored on both sides. And so what you're going to do is you're actually going to tilt this back. I think that's why they did it this way, or I don't know why they don't just have you put them in there from the beginning. But there's 2 holes down here at the bottom, right here, and so that's pretty much where they're going to go. Is line them up in the holes and push them in, which is going to be a challenge. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I've got him in. If you can grab it on either side. This one's a little harder because of the steering wheel. I think I got that one in. Yep, okay. So got them in, just gonna hold it at the bottom on either side, kind of like that, and just kind of push it in. They kind of go in real easy, and then you can kind of hold this back up. And since I have those workers in now, if this really doesn't have a need to be tilted again, I may actually try to glue this down just so it doesn't tilt too much. Start with our C50 and get our C29. Just go ahead and hook this one on, and then get your C40. Then on, and then do the opposite side of the same pieces. And we're working on our wagon because we're completely done with the actual tractor. Okay, so once you get those on, then you have this that goes in here, which I should have done first. See if I can pop these back out. Okay, so make sure that's in there first. Okay, and okay, there we go. So make sure that's in there first. Okay, and then what we're going to do is have our C37. Yep. C37, you're going to get your E16 on top, and then you're going to grab your P11 from your bag 1, which is a small little rod, and I'll get your P19 on it. Put that in the hole to hold it, and then your E16 on top, and then you're going to get this right here on top of it. And then I'm just gonna kind of set it down. And then grab another P19 that goes right on top of it. And just push it all the way down. Make sure it's secure. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to grab our D2 and then your D1s, which will go into here. Yeah. Slide those in. Okay. And then what you're going to do is your D3, but you're going to get your spring P24 out of your bag 1, and you're going to grab your P5 screws, 2 of those. Just slowly screw it in, make sure it's straight. Just have it go all the way down. Not too tight, because you want to make sure the spring kind of, can move around. Okay, so get that on there. Again, just get it straight.
Almost every single boss stage.
I just screw it all the way down. Again, not too tight, but okay, so we're going to grab your G16 and then going to put those on here, and then your D2 piece is going to go, really? It's going to go right there, but it's not secure. But your D1 is going to go, I'm sorry, your D3 will go into there, and then hook in the other side. Making sure that goes in. Okay. Then you're going to grab one of your long P15 rods. Insert it into here. Make sure it goes through all the holes. Okay, and then grab an E12, and then you grab a wheel. Make sure the decorative side is facing out, and then grab a P19. Sure. Okay, that's placed on there. Okay, and then grab another E12 on the other side. Put your wheel on, and then the P19. So you want to take pretty much the front axle part. They wanted you to build like 2 of them to do the exact same way. So just this middle part is what you do the same, and you put it together exact same way. You put your G14s on the side, the black pieces right here, and then you put your E12 round pieces right here, and you put your wheels on, and then your long piece P15 on, and then your P19. So I mean, it's the exact same thing that you did for the first one. So I went ahead and did that. And then once you have that done, and you turn this over, and then you use the little grooves that are on right here, and then you put this up in here. And then push it forward, lock it in, like that. Yep. Okay, then you're going to grab your G15s, which are these that are here. And then these are going to go into the little holes here to ensure that these do not pop out. Push with, there you go, just like that. So, and the front part just swivels because it's, the axle part or whatever. You just got to be careful that your P19 doesn't, come off of it too well. Okay, so we're putting our stairs together. So you got your D4, which decorative side will be over here on this side, which I don't really see too much, but you're going to get your B53 steps, and then get your other side, your D5, and then just line it up and just lock them in. And then you just push them onto here. And just want to maybe just do it a little at a time till this goes in as far as it'll go. Okay. And then you grab your C51 all the way down into here. Okay. What we're gonna do is grab your B54. We got a visitor. Get our B54 floor. Make sure the 2 notches are in the back, and then grab your B51 little edges that are going to go into the back here, which I'm just going to go ahead and put it on before I put it on the bottom part. Just got to make sure not to break anything. Someone wants to lay right next to me. And then your side pieces are what's going to kind of lock this piece into here, going into here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put these in all the way down, and on both sides, because they go in pretty simple. And then just go ahead and try to lock them in here, and then lock them in there and there. Okay, so there you go. There's your wagon coming along. And I already did the first couple, so stained them, or just make sure they weren't just the white ones. And then I just kind of did my own 1882 because you couldn't see the etching that they did. The back side you can kind of see it a little bit, but this front side you couldn't see hardly at all. So, but we'll get to that in a moment. All right. So you want to grab your C52 and then get your G17. Slide this in where it snaps flush like that. And then you want to grab your 8C and 8D, and I don't think it really matters which way it goes in, just as long as you don't have the tab right here going into the same hole, because you can't have it go into the same hole. It'll just go into the opposite hole. But pretty much what you're looking for is to create like a barrel, the little circular part like that. And then with the your tabs, with the longest part being on top, grab your E18 And then you want to grab your D9. Just lock that in. Make sure that's flush. And then your D7, the decorative side facing out. Okay. So you got that part going, and then you flip it over. You got your E17, and then your D10. Just push those down, and then your D6 with the decorative side out. That's how your barrow should look initially before putting the sides on. And then what you're going to be doing, which I have over here, you're going to have like 4 of your I3s, and then 8 of your I1s, and then 8 more of your I3s. So get your 4 I3s, and you're going to find the smaller hole on the circular part right here. You see the small hole? You're going to push this in, and all of these eyes are thinner wood, so you can bend them a little easier, because it's going to go up to a high point and then come back down. So you want to push this down to put it into the slot, and then just carefully push this in to where it's kind of even. And I wouldn't worry about it leveling it right now, because once you start putting the other boards in, then you'll know exactly where it needs to go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now you're going to get your I1s that has little grooves in them. And what you're going to do is you're going to put them on one on either side of your first I3 that you put in. But you're going to put it in the same way, where you're going to put it in. Oops. Bend it down, and then align the grooves with this right here. And then once you have it in, then push it up, and then it'll align it right next to that first piece. And then this is where you kind of know like how far you need to push it to align this one with that one. And then you just do one for the other side, just turn it around, bend it down, line it up, just pop it in there. Okay, and then you just do the same thing for the other 3. Okay, so we got all those in, and you just want to line that center one up with the edges. Just make sure that they're all the same level. And they just got to be close. Okay, and then you're going to take 8 of your I3s again, and then just put 2 in between each one. And you can do 1 at a time if you want, or if you want to do 2, but you just got to lift it up, push it in, work your way in, then just do the next one. Now this one, sometimes you can kind of work it to where it gets over that, but if not, you can just try to put something in front of it to lift it up, and then you just push these in to just get level, and then you can center them if you want, but then just go around just doing same thing for the rest of the openings. Okay, and just get that one in. Okay, there you go. There's your barrel. Okay, so then what I want you to do, which I already did the other 2, is I want you to put them level on your trailer, and then have this one fit right on top of it. And if you want, you could always like spread them out where they're all the way on the end, and then have this one sit on top of it. And then you want to get your cord. This is your P31 that's in your bag number 3. And what they wanted you to do was you had your 4 little eyelets on 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and they wanted you to start it back here, because by the steps, and then so you don't have the cord going across it. But I wasn't paying attention, and I already tied it to the front, and all I did was just did a double loop, just tied it in there, and then I put a little bit of glue on it to make sure that it didn't come loose. but I'm still going to make it work. But what you want to do is have it come over. And for me, I'm just going to wrap it around the eyelet here, and I'm going to go underneath the stairs, and then go over here, and then have it come back over and end over here, which I may just loop it around once, or I may just get me a loop, kind of a knot, and get it on there. And just pull it tight to where these aren't going to go anywhere, which they're not. And then I'll probably try to do another knot to make sure that it doesn't come loose, and I'll probably put some glue onto that. But that's pretty much, that's pretty much your barrels on what it looks like on your wagon. Get your E15s, get the one bench on the back, get your C53. And then get your C54. Put this on. Okay, so there's your little bench. Got somebody visiting me. Okay, and then we got our lamp post, which gets your F25 and F31. Just pop that in there. And then the G10 goes right on top of it. Your G10, and then you got a couple. Your F29. Goes right here, and then your F30 go right here. Okay. B52. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to grab our pretty much 4 H6s. And they are going to go right here. Okay, and then grab your H17. Okay. And you're going to get your D12. You're going to get your D12, put that on, and pretty much all this is to put it up underneath the tractor, or if you want to run the wheels without it moving, then this just lifts it up to get the wheels off the ground so you can run the gears and everything. So, all right, everyone. Welcome back. This is our final review of our Steam Engine rocker model with kitty hair. I'm just gonna move this a little closer. Okay, so actually not too bad of a build. I mean, it's definitely got a lot of pieces to it. I think the engine part and the lights and the wires was probably kind of the hardest part. But just as long as you take your time and just kind of go slow and just make sure everything's connected before you continue on to the next one or next step, then I think that's okay. I think you'll be fine. But no, I think it was kind of enjoyable. Definitely like the stain. And I think I've said that before, is with the wood models is, I'll never just have a plain model again, which I know this one had some parts to it, which you can see kind of that's how they wanted you to look with some stain or whatever, and then that's how it turned out. So You know, I'll always stain, but or color. I just won't stain it like I did on a couple of the other earlier models. I'll use my color markers that I talked about earlier, but these are the ones I used. Worked out pretty good. You can get them at Hobby Lobby, and they make ones that have a little bit thicker tip to it, so you can do the larger pieces. And they have a extra fine tip on the bottom to get those, you know, really small lines. So, but this is what I use. But I know there's other craft markers that you can use, you know, to color in. But no, I like those. They work pretty well, and I think it turned out okay. You can definitely use, you know, whatever you want. So we'll just kind of go over each little piece before we get to the engine, the main part. So we got our trailer. So we got our trailer, got our barrels on top of it with our line. So got our front part that just swivels in the front to a certain point. It's got a little suspension to it. If you push down on the back, it kind of rocks a little. So you got your stairs, and the other side is just there. So I tried to line the barrels up as straight as I could, but they're kind of leaning a little. So, but that's fine. So there's that, and then you got this little stand to put under the tractor for the wheels to go. Here's your little bench, and you got a little light post, which I kind of colored the flame at the top, which just to add a little bit more decorative, a little bit more colorful. So just some little props that they give you. All right, so now, so you have got your engine, got your little pretend smoke at the top. And I think I forgot to show this wire on top here, putting that on. But all you do is just loop it over one side, and it goes over the tab, the piece on the far end. So I think I forgot to show that one, but it doesn't really do anything. It's just there for looks, so it doesn't move or anything like that. But you got your two guys in there, and I did actually end up gluing this top piece down because I just didn't like it where it was just tilting back a little bit, and I didn't ever really see a need where I'd have to, you know, tilt it back because the guys are in there pretty solid. I don't think they're going to fall out, but I didn't put like a ton of glue. So if I happen to need to take it off, I should be able to undo it without causing too much damage. But there's your back, and then this is where you flip that up and then get the top piece off. There's your battery. Turn everything on, which we will here in a second. I'm just taking that off to show. And then there's the other side. So I think the gears kind of connected pretty well, not too bad, but there's a couple of them that just kind of barely catching, but it still works. This front piece, it can open, but I kind of glued that down a little because it was just like the top piece. It was sticking out a little. It wasn't closing too tight. So I just put a little drops of glue on the top and bottom just to keep it closed, because opening it, I just didn't see a need to that I was going to open it or anything. So, but there's the front. So, okay. So now, where is... So, put this down. Yep. So you have... push this off to the side here. Okay, so I got my little suspension under here. So we're gonna turn it on. So you got the light up here. You can see a little bit of light right there. Actually, let me turn the light off and see how it looks in the dark. So it actually looks pretty cool, especially with the cotton. But you can see the light going through there. Everything's moving pretty good. So, and then of course you got your gear shift. If you move it over to the left, it'll be like a slower speed, and if you move it over to the right, all the way to the right, it's a little faster speed. And if you put it right in the middle, it's like your park, where the wheels won't move, but the gears will still go and the light will still come on. And then if you change this gear all the way over, then when you turn it on, then it goes in reverse. So, but I don't think I'm ever gonna have that go in reverse. So yeah, so I'm never gonna have that in reverse. So I'll just keep that going forward. Just have the gear spin and the light shining. So not too bad. And then we'll just put this back part back on. Okay, there we go. So there you go. There's your tractor, your steam engine. Sorry, steam engine with your barrels. So yeah, so hope you enjoyed this one. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next episode.